Here we go. So, hello, everyone. To those of you who I have had the pleasure of meeting, you know me, I'm Steph Yesil. For those of you who have not yet been able to have a conversation with yours truly, I'm looking forward to doing that someday. But I am the founder of Elevated Careers, and I am joined by the one and only Paige Johnson, former VP of Education at Microsoft and current CEO of EdCatalyst Group. And tonight we are going to show you how AI will help you make smarter career choices, smarter career moves, and prove what you already bring to the table without having to reinvent everything about yourself. And one quick note that I wanted to share with you, and jump in, Paige, if you support, if you have something that you want to add on this. I was thinking about this today, the word educator in the title of this webinar. We're using it as a catch-all, right? Anyone who's touched the education world, current teachers, former teachers, current and former anyone, superintendents, now CEOs, support staff, SLPs, counselors, you name it, we've got you, okay? This is relevant to anyone who plans on continuing to grow in their career. So tonight will be a lightning session, which means we're going to be moving quickly, so we are going to get right to it. So Paige, if you wouldn't mind moving on to that next slide, I'm going to give you a couple tidbits about moi. So I was a former Teach for America math and science teacher. I like to joke that I got to be the Miss Frizzle of Eastern North Carolina for a little while. The next piece about me is that I all joking aside, I deeply believe educators are the most underpriced talent on the market. And that belief is the reason why I do all of the work that I love to do for Elevated Careers. I left that classroom in 2015, and I've worked in every size company since then, startup, mid-size, heavy hitters, 8 promotions. 11 years later, I'm proud to say that I've created products and services that have reached millions of students and tens of thousands of educators. And now I run Elevated Careers full time. And to date, I have about 84,000 in my audience, 42,000 resource downloads, 13,000 newsletter subscribers, and Paige, something I haven't told you about yet in our conversations. I am stealth building the data engine for our people that is going to be very big, even bigger than a recently acquired career support company. Stay tuned for that. But enough about me. The most exciting part about tonight is introducing to you this beautiful woman on the screen. She is bright. She is amazing. She's the star of the show. She is the inimitable Paige Johnson. She's done it all. She's seen it all. And I aspire to be her, to be perfectly honest. And I promised in the messaging for this that there wouldn't be any hard sells. So what I'm about to say is not a hard sell. I know you run a business, Paige. But I want to tell everyone here how Paige has the uncanny ability to have a brief chat with you. This is my personal experience. The very first time I met Paige, have a brief chat about what you're working on, and she immediately figures out how you can use AI to 100 times what you're working on, and it's immediately actionable. And I've been quoting you, Paige, for the last several weeks, and I am confident that everyone else here and everyone watching this video afterward will also be quoting you. So enough about me, enough of whatever I'm saying. I'm going to turn it over to you, Paige. Who are you, and why do I love you so much? It's all explained on this slide.
It's a mutual admiration club. I'm a former biology teacher who went into high tech. I've had a career for almost 30 years in high tech. And it is a really interesting time. All my friends in high tech are coming to me for coaching on how to get into teaching. A lot of them are switching to teaching, and a lot of my teaching friends are switching into tech and corporate. So it's an interesting time, and I think AI brings a lot of opportunity or potential opportunity. And that's why I'm really excited about being here tonight. I currently run a consultant company, but I really am very mission driven in the workspace about making sure that people get a job that they love. Life is too short to be in a job that you don't feel fulfilled in. And there's a lot of new opportunities coming out in the market. So don't believe what you hear on the news. Like, there are lots of new opportunities. People are still hiring, and AI can help you figure out what you want and how to get it. And AI can be part of why you get hired if you start to use it well. So what I'm going to talk about in the beginning is really more about what generative AI is. Why is everybody talking about it? Just to level set very briefly what it's good at and where there's still a cautionary tale around generative AI. I'll give you a tour of the three of the most basic tools. You probably are using at least one of them. And some of how the technology field talks about the pluses and minuses of those tools. And then Steph is going to take on really thinking about practical ways that you can use AI to define what you want, where you want to go, and how to get there. So I'm really, really excited about this conversation. There are multiple types of artificial intelligence. So if you feel like you've been hearing about this in the news since 2012, it's because you have. So historically, we have had reactive AI. This responds to specific inputs without learning from the past. So this can be things like spam filters or your Roomba vacuum cleaner, the older generation that just goes around and it has a routine and it reacts. So it knows where the wall is, for example. And then, later in 2016, 2018, we got much better at predictive AI. This is things like Google Maps being able to tell you, I don't exactly how long it would take you to get to your favorite coffee shop. It's really taking data from everyone's phones driving now and historical data from every phone that is driven every single day for years and years and years and uses that for predictive experiences. And this is very expensive to build. So this is like how Amazon can tell you if you like this, you'll like that. It takes huge IT teams to build out a predictive AI model that really works, like Google and Amazon. And needless to say, most individuals or even school systems that you work for don't actually have a huge IT team ready to build out predictive analytics. And so this is why generative AI has gotten so much hype because it generates access to new data, very predictive data and content based on what you have in your pocket. Like literally, the average user can have access to the power of AI for the purpose that you have. And that is why it's getting so much interest and traction because it is highly democratized. Now, that doesn't mean it's perfect, but it is a big change. So, one of the biggest shifts, if you're relatively new to AI, the first thing I want you to think about is you're very good at searching. You've probably spent years and years and years searching. And you see novice AI users using AI like search. Tell me about this. Which should I look for? What's a good thing? Should I agree with this? But actually, when you get the most out of AI is when you have a dialogue with it. Treat it like your assistant, like your research assistant, like your expert. Ask it and then react to it. Many times, especially if you're dialoguing with AI and you're an expert in an area, you'll be like, that's not really great. Like, that's okay. That's not great. Tell it that. The more reactive, the more feedback you give it, the more precision you give it, the more it learns who you are and what your expertise is, the more refined the answer would be. You know, don't just accept an answer, say, well, what are the counterpoints to that position? It's very good at that. Ask it to give context, explain its constraints. If you're worried that it might be showing bias or hallucination, ask it for its data, ask it to review. If you're using it for a lesson plan, ask it to review all the potential areas where bias could show up. Spectacular at that, ironically, since it's also probably the one that built the bias into your lesson plan that it built in the first place. And really, the more you use that tool, if you're logged into it as yourself and you're using it in logical ways like projects or chat threads, the better and better the answer gets. So that's my best high level advice to you. Now, it still hallucinates. Why does it do that? Well, the way generative AI works is it is a very predictive model. So I'll give you a human example. If I say Mary had a, you probably think little lamb because Mary had a little lamb. Well, it can do that across every topic and thousands and millions and millions and millions of words because it is trained on the internet data as well as other data. And so when you are a predictive model that is trained on virtually everything that humans have published for the last 40 years online, you might just make logical assumptions that are wrong. And that's why hallucinations can be hard to detect. because they're very logical. When I worked at Microsoft, I launched a literacy project and I went in, I wanted to use AI to write and write up to send to senior leaders about my launch event. Tell me what I launched, what it is, give me a brief description, just to save me time on the status report. And it said, you launched a literacy tool in Teams and you launched math numeracy tool in Excel. Well, that is logical because Excel would be a great place to launch a math numeracy tool, but I didn't do that. It just predicted that because it was logical. That's why humans have to be checking and in the middle, checking where it got the data, asking for the data. It still often shows bias and suggestions, and I'll give you some examples of that. Why? Because the majority of data we're trained on was the internet. And I don't know how much you hang out in social spaces like Facebook or LinkedIn, but you probably can witness bias in human behavior online. And we have literally taken that human bias and translated it into these online tools. Now, the hyperscalers that are creating this are getting better and better and better at putting guardrails in to minimize hallucinations and to minimize bias. But what that means is becoming even more subtle and even harder to detect. So you really do, if it's a high stake thing that you're doing, you really do want to check it, check where it got its information from, fact check, and even have, I don't know, a dialogue with the AI about whether it might be hallucinating or have bias in its answers. It can be highly overconfident and very enthusiastic about its answers. It will tell you everything you do is a great idea if you let it. And then you can say, okay, but now pretend that you oppose my idea. Why would you oppose my idea? So it's also very good at that, but you have to actually ask it to do that. It is designed, like many social media platforms, to get you engaged, to get you quickly to an answer, and to make you wildly happy about the work that it has just done for you. So take that enthusiasm with a grain of salt. That's programmed in as part of its engagement. It's trying to hack you. Don't say that's a great idea. Don't take that at face value. Check it, especially again, if it's a high stake thing that you're doing. You need to be very careful about privacy and personal data use. This is not a tool, you don't want to use one of these tools to write your IEP. Your district may have AI-based tools that have guardrails in for IEPs and documents like that, but it's not something you should enter all your financial information into. You can model broad swath financial information. Don't load up your bank statements into it, for example. And it homogenizes everything against the voice of the internet if you let it. Steph is going to talk a little bit more about that later. All right, so let's talk about three of the most used tools. ChatGPT was obviously the first one to market. It has a humongous consumer presence. And a lot of the consumer users around ChatGPT are related to education, students or faculty. They can literally see swings in their usage by school year and school day in the Northern Hemisphere. It's super interesting. It has a great ease of use. It's really great at writing and summarizing and brainstorming. And its free versions are very, very good. And its paid versions are cheaper than other people's paid versions. It's less likely, if it runs a task, to ask you to insert your Visa card to pay for more tokens. And many of these tools run on things called tokens, which really are like trying to catch my magic fairy dust. Like if you tell me how many tokens is this thing going to cost, I'll tell you a secret. Literally nobody knows until it runs the process. It's very hard to predict. And sometimes you'll do something and you'll think, well, this should be super easy and I should get it in the free tier. And it comes back and asks for more tokens. And sometimes you ask it to do something really hard and it whips it out in a beautiful way. So this is an area that's still emerging, both in the companies and with users. Gemini is a free tool in Google. Probably many of you use Gemini because you're probably already using Google tools in your schools. The one thing I would say about Gemini is the way that Gemini monetizes its costs and offers so much to you for free is advertising. And so it is using your data to figure out how to target you for advertising, to be able to tell advertisers that your eyeballs were part of its ecosystem. And so the monetization approach for Google is deeply tied into their advertising revenue because that is where the majority of their revenue comes from. So just know that when you're using their tools. And finally, Claude is Anthropic's model. It's really great at coding and complex reasoning. It can handle long tasks and documents well. It's really good at layout and design work. And it is get your credit card ready because as you start to do that heavier work, it will ask you to pay for the workloads to get that done. They are really aiming more at the large business market. So they want large companies to buy Claude products, and their consumer audience is smaller. ChatGPT has a bigger consumer audience, so it's more priced for consumers, and their enterprise audience is smaller. And both, by the way, are trying to win from the other. So welcome to our world. So I'm going to give you a few hints and then I'm going to pass this back to Stephanie. This picture is a great cautionary tale. So I gave ChatGPT a prompt with my picture in it, my 60-year-old face looking just like it looks today, and said, make me a book cover that's kind of like Heloise Helpful Hints, but on practical AI pointers from Paige. This is a copyright issue, or it's very close to a copyright issue. The little daisy on top, the color schemes that it used looks a lot like the book. So this is an example where you can get into issues, especially if I'm going to use this for like a major thing online. And then I told it to make it look like me. It just can't resist itself. It wants to make me look 17. Like it just assumes this is bias coming out that everybody's going to want to look younger, cuter, taller, and skinnier than they actually are. So here's my quick hints. Tell it more. Give it stuff. Add in documents. Give it your presentations. Have it understand your point of view. The best advice I can give is if you don't know what to do next, ask it, what do you think I should do next? What prompt? This prompt didn't return what I was expecting it to. What prompt should I write? You would be amazed at how great it is. Use the personalization settings in these tools. And again, if you don't know how to write what you want personalized, if you've been using these tools for a while, ask it to write your personalization statement and then edit it. It's very good at that if you've been working with it. And then pictures are worth 1,000 words. If you're having an IT issue or maybe your coffee maker broke, give it a picture, take a snap, tell it, what do I do? What do I do next? Pictures, it reads pictures really well and it can help problem solve. So pictures of data, pictures of situations, pictures of your classroom if you're trying to figure out layouts and things to do in your classroom. Really, really great. All right, Steph, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Perfect. And what a fantastic strategic overview of the models that are most used and most relevant for our everyday users, especially a lot of the folks who are tuning in for this. So Paige, thank you so much for that overview. And that's actually the perfect lead in to the tactical part of now we know which ones exist, what are some of the best reasons to use each of these types. Well, no matter which one you have, you will be able, here we go, you're going to be able to use your preferred AI to be way smarter in any career change. And I don't just mean, I'm a teacher and I'm looking to leave the classroom. I'm talking about literally every career change that you have for the rest of your professional life, right? So here's the whole argument. AI should not write your story, okay? AI is going to, excuse me for one moment. Can you still see my screen, Paige?
Can, yes.
You can. Okay, perfect. AI shouldn't write your story. It's going to help you prove it. Your experience, your current experience is the asset. And this is something that so many people who I speak with, they say, well, I don't have the right experiences that the corporate world is looking for. I don't have the right stuff. What do I need to add right now? And here's the thing. If you're a professional, you've had a job, you have experiences that maybe you just need to look at differently. And AI can really be the tool that makes the experiences easier for an employer to understand. That's the whole relationship between you and AI and what we want you to get out of this particular webinar. So today you're going to have one job. You're going to build what we like to call a proof file. Not a whole new story. You're not going to say, who do I need to become? I need a whole new persona. No. You're going to share the real work that you've already done, gathered in one place where AI can actually read it and you can dialogue with it over and over again. I'm going to quickly walk you through this execution plan. Do these steps in order. And yes, I did say that word quickly. So I want to assure you that I will share the deck with everyone at the end of this in the chat so you can download it and reference it in the future. So right now, you don't need to be scribbling furiously. You will have access to all of these steps. I just want you to sit and picture yourself walking through these steps with what you already have. Okay, so number one, you're going to start that AI project. You'll use your own artifacts then to find your corporate skills, find your role fit, draft your resume and cover letter, prep for your interviews, and build a more visible professional brand. As we know today, because of the ease of access to everything digitally, it's important to be able to share with a potential employer or your current employer who maybe you're leveraging a promotion, right? You want to get promoted. It's important to have a digital footprint too of your particular brand. And AI starting this proof file, having all of your evidence in one place is going to be much easier to be able to provide that brand once you get to that last step, okay? You can work this tonight in 20 minutes. You're going to save your best work in one AI file. That's the whole game. You provide your proof first, and then you use AI. So quick orientation before we do this, because project means literally the same thing in almost every single tool. It just lives in a slightly different spot. In Claude and Perplexity that I have here, projects, left sidebar. ChatGPT, same thing. Copilot will be projects again. In Gemini, as you can see in this last one, it doesn't say projects, it says create notebook, but it's all the same thing. So whichever tool you already have access to is the right tool. You don't need to shop around. You don't need to spend money on each and every one of these. Just pick one and put everything in it. This is funny enough. A lot of people lose out before they even get started. They open AI and type, help me find a job. And they get average advice because they give it average context. So here's what you need to do. You need to treat your AI, your project, like a new assistant you personally have hired, and it's their first day. You would not just hand a new hire a task with absolutely no background. So when you create your job search project or your promotion project, this proof file, you need to know, you need to provide it with as much context as you can think of and as you think of it, right? So what you're targeting, it needs to know what you've done, and it needs to know what it needs to avoid. As Paige kept saying, it can hallucinate, it can make mistakes. I spend so much time telling my models, no matter how much training I've done, like, this is garbage. Don't ever produce anything like this again. Don't ever use this word. Update your memory, right? And it's okay. You can train it to be exactly what you need it to be, but everything needs to live in that project. You'll brief it on your target role. What kind of work do you want to do next? And if you don't know that yet, say that too. I'm exploring these different directions, but I'm not sure which one I want to go for. That's context. It's better than nothing. You're going to give it your evidence, and I'll give you a whole table of what counts as evidence in the next slide. But it's going to be things like your resume, your artifacts, your job descriptions, your salary expectations or needs, if that's relevant to you, which I don't know anyone who it's not relevant to. Give it everything. Set the style rules. Make sure you tell it. Make sure your output is clear. It is accurate. Don't give generic career language that literally anybody else could write, and make sure you set boundaries, right? The part matters for privacy, but also legally, and you don't want to dox anybody. You don't want to accidentally give away any information that could come back to hurt yourself or somebody else. So no student data, no private details, no social security numbers, no bank statements, and always verify its claims. Here's the instruction that you're going to paste in on day one. Okay, as we move forward together, AI assistant, I need you to ask clarifying questions of me before writing. Use plain language. Don't invent tools, metrics, or accomplishments. And then it's going to be your responsibility to check that output. Now, it goes without saying that educators have far more transferable experiences and skills than you can possibly name. And that's what Paige and I are here for, to help you name them and then monetize them. So don't begin with the question, I'm a teacher, or I'm an insert blank. I'm a CEO, I'm a VP. What else can I do? There's no evidence in that question. So you're going to get that generic answer back. So you're going to give AI the real evidence of your work. And what counts as evidence? Here's what goes in. You're going to dig through all of your old folders on your computer, grab those official observation notes that your principal gave you or that your supervisor gave you, a PD deck, curriculum samples, project recaps, committee notes, any adult-facing work that you've done. Pop that into the project folder. And this is where AI becomes really, really useful because it can read these artifacts and pull out patterns that you're too close to see. You've been living inside this work. You don't notice that running a PD session is stakeholder training, or that event night that you led is project or employee management. And these are just some sample prompts that you can give your proof file. Fantastic way to really boost your ego, because I promise you, you're doing so much more than you realize. Once you have a better idea of those corporate skills, you're going to want to do some research about what roles exist that include those particular skills. Most people open LinkedIn, I've been guilty of it in the very beginning, and search one job title. And let's just say for, in this case, learning and development is a very popular direction for people to go. And you're going to get 400 results. And there's a million different names of what this learning and development is. You're going to close that laptop. You're going to walk away dejected. And so I'm going to have a math pun. Let's fix your order of operations. Hardy har har. I know you're all on mute, but I know you're just rolling with laughter at my joke. So thank you for the community, the charity laughter. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to commit to reading through some of these postings. So let's stick with the learning and development example. The titles might be different. You're going to find inside L&D alone, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Paige, you're going to find content developer, trainer, success associate, professional learning specialist, and sometimes even instructional designer, even though sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're different, depending on the company and the needs. It's a whole thing. I can talk you through it if you need me to. Different words, overlapping work, right? Collect 5 to 20 roles that make you go, I can see myself doing this. Okay. And then hand all of those job descriptions to your AI project at once and ask what keeps showing up. You're looking for patterns. What do employers call this work? What does this role do day to day? What tools keep appearing? And that's going to be your learning list. And I can promise you it is typically shorter than you're afraid of. And what kind of companies does this work live in, and clues for your salary so you don't undersell yourself. Those patterns will help you instead of guessing. And this is where AI becomes your executive recruiter. You're going to say, compare these roles to my proof file. Which role families fit me best, and what gaps should I address before applying? Keeping this in the same project as your evidence from the last step is what helps the tool get more and more specific about you over time. This use case 3, using AI to tailor your resume and cover letter, is where it actually helps you the most, believe it or not, but it's also the step where it can make you look most fake. So both things are true. So let's be really precise about how we're going to use this here. Okay, AI should help your actual experience sound relevant to the employer. It should never add tools, metrics, or accomplishments you cannot defend. Might feel great, might seem nice. Don't do that to yourself. So you're going to start with your strongest base resume, not a blank page. You're not going to say, write a resume for me. You're going to take your existing resume that you know you have to update, upload also the job description, and ask this. What does this job description emphasize that my resume does not show clearly enough? And notice, as I said, it's not rewrite my resume, it's a diagnostic question. And boy, oh boy, do we educators understand the value of diagnostic questions rather than just kind of yeses or nos or do this for me. You stay the author. You don't shy away from your own voice. For your cover letter, ask it for a structure. Give me a tight structure that connects my evidence to the role. Keep the voice direct and human. And then check it. If it invented something, take it out. If it sounds like language that anybody could have written, take it out. And here's the truth rule. If you can't defend it in an interview, please don't leave it in your documents. That's the ethical center of this whole chat tonight. All right. Interview prep is where AI stops being a writing partner tool and becomes your practice partner. Paste in the job description for the role you're interviewing for, and then work these 4 prompts in order. What questions am I most likely to be asked? And this is where most people stop. AI is so powerful. Don't stop here. They get the list, they read it, they feel prepared, and they walk in cold. I want you to go actually 3 prompts deeper. Help me answer this particular question from my education experience for this role. And here's something that can level up your prep game. Use your computer's microphone. Don't type because our brains and our mouths work faster than our fingers on a keyboard. Dictate your answer. Say your top of mind answer out loud, even if it's not perfect, and let it transcribe to your proof file, your AI assistant, and you'll hear your own rambling. You're going to hear your gaps, but you're going to get it all out. And that's the point. Then you're going to ask what detail is missing from my answer and let AI challenge your relevance, the unclear results. And this is the part that is going to separate those who don't get the job from those who get the job. Ask it, what concern might the hiring manager might have about my background? And this is a really uncomfortable question, but those who are willing to confront it, in my experience and observation, are the ones who confront it are the ones who get the jobs much more often than those who are not interested or just don't know to confront it. And this last piece, you can use all of this beautiful information to build your brand or your digital footprint. Your brand is simply proof that other people can see. It's not just your personality. It's not posting every single day. You can say from your profile, you can say, hey, AI, take everything you know about me and write a post showing my experience and thoughts that would be relevant to my next employer. Help me share one real lesson, just one. You can start a portfolio with one actual artifact, PD deck, a curriculum redesign, cleaned up, put it on your featured section, add it to your experience section. AI fluency. Here's something that a lot of people aren't capitalizing on, and it is talking about how you are using AI in a smart way. Not just I can prompt, but how you checked the output, because employers are more and more nervous about trash products being output by people who aren't actually, they're just handing over the task to AI and not checking it. So talk about it, write about it, talk about the time you started a project and the original output was just not it. Getting ahead is sharing best practices, especially from your ongoing learning. And you can generate all of this from the work that you've already done. Just say, turn my proof project into a post. Start there and then have a conversation with it. So tonight, one artifact. That's all you need to start with. A performance review, an observation, a PD deck, what have you. Put it in your AI project and follow these steps that we just shared. And as you move forward, I know Paige agrees with me, stay in touch with us. Let us know how you're feeling about this. Send us a message and tell us what your thoughts are, but we really are interested in your inevitable wins.
And Stephanie, I post a lot on LinkedIn. So here, this QR code takes you to our LinkedIn's. I know many of you are already connected. I would just add one more hack, and that is
Please.
sometimes when Stephanie says, we'll start with your own stuff and then move to AI, that can be challenging. So this is when you phone a friend.
Yeah.
Get on a Google Meet with your friend, go
Mhm.
through all your artifacts with them, describing why you think it's important, how it might help you get your dream job. Just like pour a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and 90 minutes, 2 hours, fantastic. But record it and give that recording of that conversation back into your AI assistant. That context takes from just a blank CV down into well, there was this one time when I had to run the PD summit and it turned into this, and this, and 14 other districts came. And that might not show on a resume, but that might actually be something that AI helps you turn into gold.
Love that. I love that. That's it. Conversations with yourself and others are some of the most powerful tools we can use. It's funny how that kind of hack, the human part, is what actually supercharges our AI use, keeps us human in this highly technical world. So thank you for sharing that, Paige. So with that, we're a few minutes over the 30 minutes. I knew it. I knew it. We were going to have so much fun. We were going to just need that little extra. I'm going to go ahead and drop this deck in the chat. Go and grab that, download it. Okay. I'm also going to make sure that this recording is cleaned up and ready to roll for us. Make sure that you check back to the LinkedIn event page. I'm going to say by close of business on Friday. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any questions that we haven't answered or something you'd like for us to go deeper on in our content or in our conversations, drop that in the chat. I'll be downloading the chat log as well and sharing that with Paige. So that's it. That's it. Paige, any parting words before we let everybody hit the road?
Look, the best part about AI is that you're going to learn. It's, you all have growth mindsets. I know that because you're in schooling. And so have a growth mindset on this. Go in and just play with it. It can be fun.
That's it.
Have it be a fun part of the process and a part of your journey.
I could not agree more. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I am so, so happy, Paige, that you joined us. And to
It's
everyone
fun.
who's here, we're going to have a second webinar. If you're still teaching this year, how to use AI this year to continue to build your proof out, to be announced. Everyone, have a wonderful evening. Go enjoy your dinner. Go enjoy all of life. And we look forward to being in touch with you soon.
Thanks.
Good night, all.
Nice.